I'm Eva and welcome to my channel where I post bookish videos. Today I'm going to be letting my nails choose my reads. I saw Ellen Catherine do this on her channel and I was like, I love that idea, so I'm doing it as well. So basically I took pictures of the last 3 times I got my nails done, and by the looks of them I'm going to try my best to match them to covers of books on my TBR. So 2 times ago I had St. Patrick's Day nails, so here they are. I couldn't really find any books that really matched it except one, so we have to go with this. The only thing that matches it, like, there's no clovers or anything on it, but it is white and green, and that is Hello Fake Boyfriend by Kelsey Haas. Here's the cover and here's my nails. This is definitely the best I could do. I don't even know if I have that many other green books on my TBR, but this is the match for my nails from 2 times ago. This is the second book in the Hello series by Kelsey Haas. As I'm filming this intro, I'm finishing up Hello Single Dad by her. I'm liking it so far, it's just fine. I'm excited to get into this one because I love the fake dating trope, which I'm gonna guess that's in this as it's called Hello Fake Boyfriend. And then for my nails I had before the ones I have right now, they were purple and they had like little gold like polka dots on them. I'm not sure, you can't really see it in the picture because they're sparkly polka dots, but I only had one book that could fit this. It's not a perfect match, but this is the best I could do. And that is the True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. There's purple, and then I know this is yellow, not gold. That's like the best I could fit to my nails. And the cover also has like fireworks that looks like flecks of gold, so I feel like that kind of fit. So this will be the book that'll match those nails. This is the second book, again, Soulmate Duology. I can't think of what the actual duology is called, but this is the second book to the Soulmate Equation, which I read a couple years ago, so I'm behind on reading this one. But I remember I really liked the Soulmate Equation. I gave it like a 4.5, and this is about our main character's best friend, Fizzy. And I haven't heard that many people talk about this book, but the couple I have heard talk about it have really enjoyed it. So, and then for my current nails, I'll put a picture up on the screen so you get a better look, but here is also what they look like on camera. They're blue and white with polka dots. I love them. They are so adorable. I'm like obsessed with them. They're adorable. I have 2 books that I think match my nails really well. So the first one is Off to the Races by Elsie Silver. I want to read this so bad. This is the first book Elsie Silver wrote, and it's the first book in the Gold Rush Ranch series. Yeah, the Gold Rush Ranch series. The Gold Rush Ranch series. And then my second book that I have is, why does it look so bright? Oh my goodness. Is Girl Abroad. Whoa. Girl Abroad by Elle Kennedy. I feel like this one may match a little more to my nails, but I want to read Off to the Races just a little. Oh my gosh, why is the brightness like that? Sorry, you're just gonna have to deal with it being like way too bright. It's not even bright outside. I'm just using the light from outside. So like I said, I don't know why it's so bright. It's not even that bright outside. It's actually really cloudy. But my phone keeps doing this. So like I said, I feel like Girl Abroad might match a little bit more, but I want to read Off to the Races more, and this one still matches really well. Like, here is my nails and there is the cover. So we're going to go with this one. I think I'm going to start with Off to the Races because I'm just so excited to read this one, and it's also on my 25 books to read in 2025, so we would be knocking 2 birds with 1 stone. Yes, I'm using my scrunchie as my bookmark for the moment, and we just met the horse she's supposed to train, Double Diablo, I think was its name. I literally just read it and I forgot. I can already tell that her interactions with that horse are gonna be like really funny with both of their attitudes. I'm gonna keep on reading halfway check-in on Off to the Races, but first I wanted to say I just got an email from NetGalley that I got approved for an arc of Holly Jackson's new book that's coming out in July called Not Quite Dead Yet. I am so excited. Holly Jackson is my favorite author, and I've given all of her books except one 5 stars, and she's my favorite author, and I'm so excited. And I remember putting my name in for it and just being like, I know I'm not gonna get accepted for this because I'm sure so many people are putting their names in for it. I'm sure I'm not gonna get accepted for it, but I'm gonna like put my name in anyway and just hope for the best. And I actually got approved for the arc of it. I am so excited. That's one of my most anticipated releases for this year, and I can't believe I got an early copy of it. Like, and I'm just like so excited and so happy about it. Anyway, to get with my update on Off to the Races, it looks like I'm about halfway through, but I didn't realize this book also had the prequel out of the gate. So really all of this is out of the gate, which is the prequel, and this is all Off to the Races. So I am definitely more than halfway when I thought I was about halfway, but I am more like 60 or 70% through, and I'm really liking this. So we follow Vaughn, who is our main male character. His grandfather owned Gold Rush Ranch, and his grandfather recently passed away, so then Vaughn came and is taking over like the business side. He doesn't like work with the horses that much. So there's this guy named Hank who works there, and he asked if he knew anyone who would be willing to come and help train horses. So he said, yes, I know this person, Billy Black, who could come and help train the horses. When Billy first shows up, Vaughn is expecting Billy to be a guy. So when Billy shows up and it's a girl, he thinks it's somebody his mom is trying to set him up with. So he goes up to her and just is like completely rude, like, get out, tell my mom I don't want to be set up with you. She's like, you definitely have the wrong person. And then she basically reveals, she's like, I'm Billy. He's like, I just acted like a major jackass to my new employee. So he's like obviously instantly attracted to her and thinks she's trouble because she's like mouthy and all that. So he tries to like come up with a plan that can get rid of her quicker. He gives her a ton of different horses to just read from without seeing them, without knowing like more information, and pick which one sounds the best on paper, which was basically a trick because she ends up picking Double Diablo, who on paper seems great, but at the same time he had never competed in any races or anything like that. And she was like, why hasn't he? She was like, is there something wrong with him? Like, why wouldn't he have competed yet? He's like, well, that's gonna be the new horse you're training. He's like a mean horse and like doesn't want anybody to come near him. He's like, so you're gonna train him. And he was like, in 3 months time, if he goes to, I don't know if it was a specific race or just any race, and wins, he was like, then you have a job here. But if not, then you're out. So she took on the challenge, and immediately she's like, this guy's such a dick. And he's like a trust fund brat. She's like, I just don't like him. They like dislike each other, but they don't really dislike each other. They slowly like start to come around to each other. And then there's like a 1 month time jump where they become more friends, and then obviously it's a romance book, so then they become more. But I just got to a part where she's like, what are we? And he was like, we don't need to have a name, but you're mine and I'm yours. And she was like, can we not tell anybody yet though? And he's like, I guess. He's like, I want to tell people, but I mean, I guess if that'll make you more comfortable with this relationship, I guess we don't have to tell anybody right away. And I'm liking it. I think it's really cute. It's not my favorite from Elsie Silver, and I wouldn't say it's 5 star, probably like a 4.5 star, but I really like it. They're really cute. And especially for her first book, it's really good. I wasn't sure when I got into it if it wasn't going to be as good as the Chestnut Spring series or the Rose Hill series, because it was her first series, so I wasn't sure if like she developed over time or if she did just start out good. And I think she just started out good. Whoops. Why do I always do that? I have my makeup case sitting here and I always book into it. But yeah, I really like it so far. Billy is like so spunky and fun, but we met the Eden's sister, Violet. Well, she was kind of in the Chestnut Spring series, but we really meet her in this book, and she was not at all what I expected her to be. Did I say her name's Violet? Okay, well, her name's Violet. And she was just not at all what I was expecting her to be. I thought she'd be louder like her brothers. But this is just a random clip I'm also putting in to add to that. But at the same time, Violet was written before any of the Eaton brothers, so it's not like that was already in place as a plan, you know? Anyway, back to me. She's like really quiet and and she was just not at all what I was expecting of her character. Really excited to read her book next. I know it's her and then Vaughn's brother Cole, who we've met a little bit in this book, and he's just like fine. I can totally get like it's gonna be like a grumpier, and she's sunshine, I'm gonna guess. But one thing also that I like about Vaughn that I'm like, oh my god, I do that all the time, is he, specifically in the beginning, I feel like as the book went on, he hasn't done it as much. He like mumbles to himself all the time, and I was like, oh my god, that's so me. I feel like you never hear a character just like talk to themselves. Like they always just have their internal thoughts and they're never just like talking to themselves. And then Vaughn is like the first character I feel like I've ever read that just talks to himself randomly. And I just thought that was like really funny. And yeah, Elsie Silver books are just so good. Like they are so funny, and like the characters always have like good banter and all. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So I'll see you when I'm done. I will also read the prequel Out of the Gate and tell you what I think about that. I don't even know who that's about. It's a prequel. Let's see. Ada. I don't know how to say that. I don't know how to say that name. I've never known how to say that name. Dermot and Ada. His grandparents, his parents. I'm not sure. But that's who the prequel is about. So I'll tell you my thoughts on the rest of this book and on the prequel. This is random and doesn't have anything to do with books, but I love this lip stuff I'm wearing. Everybody always shits on the Rare Beauty lip oils, but I have it in shade Happy, and I think it leaves like the prettiest stain color. Anyway, back to more book stuff. I like putting in those random clips of me reading because I feel like it like puts the video more together in a more smooth way. But I'm always laying down when I'm reading, and you can really see my double chin, and I don't like that, but I'm gonna put them in anyway, even though I'm always laying like this and I'm like this. You get this angle. This line is right after a scene. Two broken people damaged by the ones meant to love them most, finding solace in each other's arms. That's a nice line. I don't have a lot of time to give this update, plus everybody in my family is home, so I'm trying to be quieter. So I finished Off to the Races, and the prequel novella Out of the Gate I gave Off to the Races. There's a cop car. I gave Off to the Races 4 stars, and I gave Out of the Gate 3.5 stars. I feel like I was hyping up the book in other clips, and I was like, oh, it's a 4.5. I feel like I was over-exaggerating. My love for it. Yes, I really enjoyed it, and I was really enjoying it then, but I wasn't like obsessed as I was acting. It was a classic Elsie Silver book with great banter, witty jokes, great chemistry, but it still wasn't my favorite from her. It was her first book, so I still have to give credit where credit was due, that it was still really good. And Out of the Gate, I don't know if I said, but it was a novella between our main male character's grandparents, so it was a prequel, and that was just fine. You don't have to read it. I don't think it really changes much besides knowing their story. That was about his grandmother whose parents owned the ranch, and his grandfather was a stable hand there for a while. So the grandfather's name is Dermot and the grandmother's name is Ada. I'm just gonna start calling them that instead of grandmother and grandfather. So Ada is 10 years younger than him. So he started being a stable hand there when he was 20 and she was 10, and she always had a childhood crush on him. She's 18, he's 28 at this point, I'm gonna say. And she goes and she kisses him before he leaves for the military. And when she kisses him, he's kind of like, whoa, I've never thought about you like that. Like, I've known you since you were a kid. But after the kiss, he starts thinking about her like that. When he comes back from the military 3 years later, he has been thinking about the kiss the whole time, but she's embarrassed because he kind of rejected the kiss. When he comes back, he helps her train a racehorse that she keeps getting kicked off of, and apparently he's really good at training them, so he decides he's gonna help her. The whole time there's a lot of tension, and then obviously it's romance, so you know what happens next. But that one was just fine. I don't think you have to read it to read a photo finish or this. I mean, it's a prequel. It doesn't really change much. Another fun extra little story to read. And then there was also a third act breakup, which I'm not the biggest fan of third act breakups. But this third act breakup personally didn't bother me that much. I feel with third act breakups, they can either be so outrageous that I'm like, how could you forgive the other person for doing that? Or they are so stupid that it also makes me mad because the reasoning was so stupid. While I feel like this one was perfectly done with not being so small that it was stupid and not so outrageous that you couldn't forgive the other character. You know, like, I'm not a big fan of third act breakups, but I have to say, I think this one was done well. Anyways, I think it's about to storm, so if it starts looking darker, that's why. That's my thoughts on both Off to the Races and Out of the Gate. Sorry if you can hear my mom, she's loud. Anybody in my family downstairs, they're very loud people. But I love them. Anyways, now on to Hello Fake Boyfriend. I think I didn't finish the first book, Hello Single Dad, yet. Like, I think I was like only like 50 pages in when I did the intro. I ended up not liking that book. So I already have this one. I bought them together and I already said I was gonna read it for this video and I own it already. So figured I'll still give it a shot. Hopefully this one is better than the first one. I love the fake dating trope, so hopefully it pulls through.
Later.
Remember how I said I didn't really like the first book in the series? Well, I'm DNFing this one. So this one started strong, I think. I think I said it in the intro, I love the fake dating trope. It's one of my favorites. Even though the reasons are kind of stupid sometimes, I just love the trope. So our female main character, Mara, is a romance writer, and her books are getting made into movies. Well, at least the first book in this series. She goes to some interview that's live, I'm pretty sure, talking about herself and her books and all that. She basically says that she doesn't believe in love and that it's basically not real, and the interviewer's like, you write romance and you're telling me you don't even believe in what you write. So everybody's mad at her, and there was talks about having a second movie made, and after that interview they don't want to make a second movie. So her friends and her agents and all that are trying to find a way to make the studios give her a second chance. So one of her agents suggests she gets a fake boyfriend and say that she only said all that stuff to not scare him away because they just started dating and she didn't want him to get scared or whatever. Her best friend from the first book, Birdie, and Birdie's now husband, who was the love interest obviously in the first book, he has a good friend named Jonas who's single, and he's like, well, you guys have hung out a lot, there's proof of you hanging out because you were at our wedding, we've had group photos together, people have seen you hanging out, why don't you fake date Jonas? As Jonas is just like not even here for this discussion, so they just randomly bring him into this. So Cohen calls Jonas and is like, hey, can you meet up with Mara and like fake date her? And Jonas is like, what are you talking about? And so then he meets up with her and then agrees to fake date her, okay? And Jonas is literally so sweet, okay? And you will not hear the end of it. He is an accountant. She cannot let that fact go. The whole time she cannot let it go. You hear, or I guess you read, her saying, he's fine for an accountant. He's hot for an accountant. Like, everything is about him being an accountant. So she nonstop reminds you that he's an accountant. He is such a sweetheart. In exchange of him being her fake boyfriend, she has to sit with his mom while she gets dialysis done at their house because she doesn't really like going to the place and she is uncomfortable there because she has scars, so she feels uncomfortable going out. So they want to make it so someone would come to their house, and he has Mara sit with her. That's the deal. So Jonas is a sweetie, right? I love the way I just said that. So Jonas is so sweet, right? And she is pretty annoying, I'm not gonna lie. She starts like okay, but she slowly gets more and more annoying. So she has some like trauma growing up like from her parents. She more so like sleeps around. She doesn't really date, she just sleeps around. So they were like, for the next few months you can't be going and sleeping around with other people, and she's like, I can't believe that for 6 months I can't sleep with anyone. Then of course her and Jonas continue to hang out for this fake dating arrangement. They end up start sleeping together and sort of dating. Like, they don't officially say they're now real dating, but they essentially kind of are. And all of a sudden she goes to something with his family, and it's just the girls and like some of his sister's friends. So she goes, and there's this girl there who says, oh, yeah, Jonas asked me out like a couple months before you guys started dating. This girl is beautiful and she's thin, and Mara is plus size, so immediately she's like, I'm not what Jonas likes. Jonas doesn't like me then. He likes thin girls, after this one girl just said he asked her out months ago. And Mara immediately starts being shitty to Jonas just because of that, and then goes and sleeps with someone else. Yeah, she goes and sleeps with someone else. And that's when I stopped reading, because I was like, what? Why are you doing this? Like, she completely self-sabotaged and like hurt Jonas for no reason. I mean, at this point, he doesn't know that she went and slept with someone, but I know. And so yeah, they aren't technically together. They never confirmed they were together. She just called him and was like, we're not together. And then goes and sleeps with someone else after they've just been like having this connection and sleeping together. I was like, I'm not reading this anymore. She pissed me off so many times throughout the book already that after that, I was like, that's it. That's the end. So even though she didn't technically cheat on him, it feels like she did, because they were just together and then she goes and sleeps with someone else. Would that not make anybody else mad reading it? Because maybe I just didn't explain it as good, but he's like literally so sweet. He like makes her pancakes when she's staying over his house after her dad came and like scared her. Then they start sleeping together and going on dates, and immediately when she gets scared, she goes and sleeps with someone else. Like, that just really annoyed me. So yeah, I'm DNFing this, and I'm definitely not continuing the series. I already didn't really like the first one. The first one was like a 2.5, and that one also started like strong, and then the female main character just started doing dumb stuff that like pissed me off. And same with this one. It started off strong, like I liked the storyline and I really liked Jonas as a main character, but then the female main character just starts doing something annoying. Specifically with her, she kept reminding us he's an accountant, he's boring, and she was like, I would never date an accountant because they're terrible. Like, just ragging on his job like the whole book. So I'm DNFing this. I DNF'd it about halfway through. I think I was like 200 some pages, and this is over 400 pages, and I was like, there's no way I'm continuing this. So sorry, I didn't want to absolutely go into it, but I really didn't like this book. Now on to starting the True Love Experiment. Hopefully we have better luck with that. Okay, you're sitting at a different spot. I tried to do a different angle because I'm always sitting in my other spot and I wanted to switch it up, but I feel like this angle isn't working, but we're gonna go with it. I am just under halfway through the True Love Experiment. I am loving this so far. It's giving 5 stars. I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I am. I did really like the first book, The Soulmate Equation, so I guess it shouldn't be that surprising that I really like this. I just haven't read a Christina and Lauren book in a while, and I thought they might be an author who, going back to them a while later, I might not like their books as much, but I'm corrected. Wait, what's the phrase? I stand corrected. I am loving this. So this follows Fizzy, who is the best friend of Jess from The Soulmate Equation, and Fizzy is a romance author, but she has been in a rut in not only writing but in her relationships and romance life. She's also in a rut, so that's kind of her story. Then we have Connor, who's our male main character. He is a director, and he usually producer. Is he a director or producer? What do they say? Oh, he's a documentary filmmaker. Normally, he makes films that are surrounding wildlife and conservation, I think. But the thing that's now in is reality TV shows. So his boss wants him and everybody there to make some type of reality TV show. So for him, he gets put on the assignment to do a dating reality TV show. One night when he's out at a bar with his friend, he looks across the bar and sees a beautiful woman. He's like, she's so beautiful, but I'm not gonna go up and talk to her. I'm not thinking about my romantic life right now. Later that day, he goes over to his ex-wife's house, who he has a daughter with. Did I mention that? He's a single dad? Okay, well, he's a single dad. So he goes over to his ex-wife's house, who he still has a good relationship with. So he goes over there to pick up his daughter. When he's there, he picks up one of his wife's romance books and looks on the back of the book and sees the girl he saw at the bar and is like, I just saw this girl at the bar I was at tonight. And she's like, oh yeah, she's like one of my favorite authors. And he's like, is she single? Blah, blah, blah. He like asks her all these questions and she's like, I think she's single. I mean, I don't. And so he contacts her for a show idea. And when she comes, she doesn't really know what this meeting's gonna be about. And he's like, I want to make a reality dating show based off of you and trying to find true love, as I think that'll be interesting. And the demographics of reality TV shows and romance books cross a lot. So at first she like doesn't agree, but eventually she decides, you know, it's great, let's do it. When she's contacting him about like her ideas and what she wants, she's like trying to make it as hard as possible for him to do what she's saying. And she's like, he won't want to agree to all this. And then he does like all the stuff that she wants him to. And they're texting and they're talking and all that. So she thought he was going to be like some douche. Then as they have these text exchanges and meetups talking about the show, she realizes he's like really great. And they like slowly start to become friends. Like their connection building in this story is just so good. So they're like building a friendship, but they're also like flirty with each other and it's just great. And she's very like out there and he seems like he'd be more reserved, but anytime she says something like crazy, he's like kind of for it. They just have like great chemistry. Not only that, but he's like building the show and it's all around her. They're slowly starting to fall for each other, but he's like, we can't be together because you're gonna be on a dating show, my dating show that I made about you. So they have that dilemma that they're going through. But something like just happened, like I'm just over 200 pages in, 20 pages ago, something happened and they were like, I guess we can't do that again. Because the show is like just starting to film. They just finished the first episode at the point I'm in and they're like, well, I guess we can't do that again because, you know, you're supposed to be dating these guys on the show. I have my job to think about because if I don't produce this show for my boss, I'm gonna be fired and I'm gonna have to move away from my daughter. That's where I'm at. I'm loving this so far. If it keeps going in this trajectory, it'll definitely be 5 stars. And I've had this book for like a year or two and I don't know why I just like haven't been picking it up. So doing this, matching my nails to the book, has really made me pick up a great read. So I will update you later, probably when I'm done. Okay, so I finished the True Love Experiment. I don't have it sitting with me because I already put it back in its stack over there and it's like at the bottom of the stack and I don't feel like getting it back out and then putting it back. So I finished the True Love Experiment. I want to say it's more like a 4.75 instead of a 5. I know before I was like, it's a 5 star. I'm loving it. I was loving it and then just one thing happened. This one thing happened and it threw me out. If you don't want to be spoiled for the book, you can skip. So I already told you he has an ex-wife, he has a child with her. And him and his ex-wife had like a shotgun wedding because she'd gotten pregnant. Then they were in like a loveless marriage. Like he had love for her, but he wasn't in love with her. So he wasn't like happy in the marriage. And he said to break up the marriage, he didn't want to say that to her. Instead, he cheated on her and then came back the next morning and she knew. Then he was like, I went to therapy. It was the worst thing I've ever done. I regret it. Like I went to therapy and like worked through all my problems and yada yada yada. And I was like, that's like not the Connor we know. I was like, it kind of threw me out because I was like, oh my god. And he was like, oh, and she's forgiven me. I've gone to therapy. I have learned from my mistakes. I'm never making that same mistake again. Like that's the worst thing I've ever done. Okay, so he's like saying all this. I mean, he seems reformed in the book, but it like threw me off a little bit, okay? And I don't know if I'm just over exaggerating it, but like I'm not a fan of like the any cheating stuff. Our main character did react big. She like ran out. She ran out on him, so I was like, I kind of get it. And especially because of her past, which I'm not also gonna expose that. And now the air just came on, so you're gonna have to hear that. Hopefully you don't hear the air, and the air thing is literally right here, sitting right in front of it. So, oh my gosh, it is so loud. So yeah, that threw me for a loop. Otherwise it was still really good. I did like tinker out like of my interests as much near the end, like just a little bit though. Just a little bit. So I don't know if I'm 100% giving it a 4.75 or a 4.5, because I had first said 5, like I was like 5, because I enjoyed the beginning so much and I loved it so much, except that one little part where he said what he said, and I was like, besides that part, like I did really love it. My interest did tinker away a little near the end, so I feel like I can't give it a 5. So I don't know if I want to give it a 4.75. I like hate giving 4.75s because it's like, just give it a 5. But at the same time, it's not a 5, but it's not a 4.5. That was the last book we were reading for this video. So let's do a little recap, even though you just watched it. So the first book, what was the first book I read? The first book I read was Off to the Races by Elsie Silver, to match my blue and white polka dot nails. I gave that a 4-star. It was really good. I feel like I was hyping it up in my first update, but it was still good. I gave it a 4-star. It was classic Elsie Silver with good banter, wittiness, all that jazz. Okay. And then I read the little prequel novella that was in with it, and that was fine. I gave it a 3.5. I feel like we didn't need that story, but it was still fun to read about. And then I DNF'd Hello Fake Boyfriend, and I feel like I said my piece on that. And then yeah, we have The True Love Experiment, which I'm giving a 4.75. I know that's so exact. I know some people hate when people do like 0.25, 0.75, 0.5. I was really disappointed when I started losing a little bit of interest in that one part. Like I don't know why. Like I feel like other people like won't think it's a big deal, but like I just can't let it go. I don't know why. Like I just didn't like that part. I was like, can we please have some other issue? Can that not be it? Anyways, that's the end of this video. I'd like to do this idea again. I think it was so fun to pick them based off my nails, and like I said, I'd gotten that idea from Ella and Catherine, so it was not my idea, and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye.